Hey y'all, Matt here from RetroOnly.com. Today we're going to be answering another quick question that people often have about the Super Nintendo or the SNES Classic. Okay, so this is the new one that they just released within the past couple of years. It's the most they released the NES Classic, then the Super Nintendo Classic, or the SNES Classic. And a common question that we receive here on the channel, also on our website RetroOnly.com, is whether the Super NES Classic or the SNES Classic controller will work with a Wii. So as you can see at the bottom of the Wii remote, you have the same plug-in, and it actually fits just like a nunchuck would. But just because it fits doesn't mean that it's compatible. So that's what we're going to cover today in this video, whether the SNES Classic controller is compatible with the Wii or not. We're going to be trying it on a few different games. I've got Super Mario Brothers for the Wii that we're going to be trying it on, and then also have Wii Sports that we're going to be trying it on as well. So we're going to be trying it on a couple of different ones, and I'm also going to try it on a couple of different GameCube games and see how that works out as well, to show you if it does or does not work with the Wii controller, so you can play using this controller instead of using this controller. That's especially helpful when you play games like Mario on your Nintendo Wii. So that's what we're going to be covering in today's video, whether the SNES Classic controller will work with the Wii or not. So the first game that we're going to start off with is going to be Super Mario Brothers Wii. I'm going to go ahead and go into the game itself without actually having the SNES Classic controller plugged in. And we're going to go ahead and go into this game. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and press 2 to start. Let's go ahead and just pick a random save. Players 1. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug in the SNES Classic controller in and see what we get. This extension controller is not supported. Please remove the extension controller. That pops up every single time on this game. When you plug in, unplug or plug in the SNES Classic controller, that's what you get. So the SNES Classic controller is unfortunately not usable on a game that you would expect it to be usable on the Wii, that being Super Mario. Alright, so that's the first game that we're going to test. Now we're going to go ahead and hop in and try the Wii Sports Resort and see if that one works out any better. The next game that we're going to go ahead and try it on is the Wii Sports Resort. And that's obviously a pretty popular game for the Wii. So we're going to go ahead and try that game and see if the SNES Classic controller works with it or not. So let's go ahead and hop into the game here. Alright, and we are in. So obviously you can use the up and down pad on the controller itself. So let's go ahead and plug in the extra controller, the SNES Classic controller as well, and see if we are able to use that. Now this one doesn't pop up with an error message like the last one, but I am currently pressing all of the buttons on the SNES Classic controller and we're getting nothing at all. So I'm going to go ahead and go into one of the games here. Let's go ahead and do archery. I know that one requires a nunchuck. And let's see if it'll allow you to use the SNES Classic controller as a nunchuck. And it will not. So basically the software of the SNES Classic controller is different than the software on the Wii. So you have to actually use a nunchuck. You can't use the SNES Classic controller as the controller for even this specific archery game. So let's go ahead and try another one since there's so many different ones on here. Let's go ahead and try swordplay. And let's just go into one of these and see if we're able to use the SNES Classic controller. It is still connected, so it doesn't immediately say, yep, and there you go. It's got the exact same thing that it has on the other game, on the Mario game, and that is you have to disconnect the extension controller. So basically, just based on these two games, the SNES Classic controller doesn't work with the Wii. Now, there might be some games where it would work, and if you want to comment below and give me a game that you got it working on, then great. But for the SNES Classic controller, I tried it on a few different games prior to even recording this video, and I couldn't get it to work on any of them. A few of them, like this one, it didn't pop up with the error message until you got to a certain point. The Mario, it gives you the error message as soon as it plugs in. So it really does vary by game, but I could not find any of the games. Obviously, I don't know all the Wii games, but I couldn't find any Wii game that the SNES Classic controller would work. And again, it fits. It fits perfectly into the Wii remote. It just doesn't work with any of the games, which is kind of a bummer. Of course, with the Wii, you can use the GameCube controller. It's got the little spots right on top where you can plug in a GameCube controller. So you can use one of those. If you don't like the Wii setup, which I personally don't prefer it, you can buy a specific Wii remote that is an actual controller that you can use for games like Super Mario, as many people don't like using the actual, just the handheld for Super Mario or other games like that. But unfortunately, based on all the testing that I've done, all the games that I've tried, the SNES Classic controller does not work with the Nintendo Wii, unfortunately. So as you can see here, I'll go ahead and disconnect it. And now it lets us play once the SNES Classic controller is disconnected. So on the games all the different games that I tested, none of them will work with the SNES Classic controller. I hope this has been a help to you. Again, my name is Matt, and I'm from RetroOnly.com. Be sure to check out our website and also subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all the different things that we have going on and all the different reviews and commonly asked questions that we answer on our channel. Have a great day.